Hello, and thank you for taking the time to engage with this presentation. My name is Elizabeth, and together with Emily Sullivan, I've put together a resource guide to help teachers understand some of the technology available to them and their students, specifically those on the autism spectrum. This presentation has been put together for Redeemer University's EDU 331 Digital Tech for Learning. This class is aimed to equip teacher candidates with the skills needed to assess different types of technology that we may see in our classrooms. It is our hope that through this resource guide, we can pay that knowledge forward and assist teachers in using technology with their students. With backgrounds in working with children and adults with autism spectrum disorders, Emily and I felt passionately about passing on some of our knowledge. This resource guide will walk you through 10 of our favorite resources that we've either used in the past or have learned about since leaving the field. Autism spectrum disorder is an array of diagnoses that range in terms of severity of impact. An ASD diagnosis can fall into 5 categories when diagnosed through the DSM 5: Asperger's syndrome, Rett syndrome, childhood disintegrative disorder, Kanner syndrome, and PDD NOS. ASD is classified as a developmental disability that affects 3 areas: communication, restrictive or repetitive behaviors, and difficulty in social situations. The technology that we're going to look at has been specifically designed to target and assist with some of these areas. These include executive functioning skills, communication, visualizing schedules, understanding social situations, and self regulation. Let's take a look at a video to learn a little bit more.
We are all different, and that's wonderful. Some differences are easy to see: height, hairstyle, gender, eye color, and so on. Other differences can't be seen: our favorite foods, fear, or special skill. Interestingly, the way we see the world is also different. For instance, what do you see in this drawing? Most people see a duck, but some of you might have seen a rabbit. Whichever you saw, you are correct. This is just a trick drawing to show you that all brains work differently. The brain is your body's computer. It works differently for all of us and controls how you learn. That's why we are all good at different things. How you feel, which is why we all feel different emotions. And how you communicate. Sometimes the brain is connected in such a way it affects the senses and how we perceive and read situations and interactions. This is known as autism. Many people have autism, so it's likely you already know someone who is autistic. And for this reason, it's useful to know a little bit about autism. The special wiring inside an autistic brain can sometimes make the person good at tasks we may find difficult, such as mathematics, drawing, or music. It can also do the opposite, and activities we find too easy are incredibly difficult to them, such as making friends. The senses constantly send information to your brain about your surroundings and other people. However, when a person's brain and its senses don't communicate well, the brain can become overwhelmed and confused, affecting how they see the world. Picture yourself walking down the street. This is how an autistic brain may experience the same world. Scary, isn't it? Sadly, in many cases, the person can't say out loud how they feel. So even though there's chaos going on in their heads, they seem okay on the outside, unable to ask for help. We all develop behaviors to help us feel calm in uncomfortable situations. We may look away, hug ourselves, chew our fingernails, fidget, bite our lips, and so on. Equally, autistic people develop behaviors that help them cope with these intense moments. These actions may seem unusual, but they're just their way to feel calm. When they happen, it means they are having a hard time. The kind thing to do is not to give them an even harder time by getting cross. ignoring them, or mocking them. People with autism need friends who are willing to take the time to know. With good communication and plenty of patience, everyone would be better off. People with autism are not ill or broken. They simply have a unique view of the world. And with a little support from their friends, they might just be able to share that view with us. Autism can make amazing things happen.
It is currently estimated that 1 in 66 children in Canada are diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder. To put that into easy numbers, that means you have close to a 50-50 chance of having someone in your classroom on the spectrum. While schools and school boards have some of their own resources, it's important for teachers to be well aware of the types of tools available to them and their students. Let's take a look at SAMR. SAMR is a framework that looks at technology's place along a continuum of use. While this presentation won't get into the nitty-gritty of SAMR, it's important to recognize that SAMR may look different for your students on the autism spectrum. In your typical classroom, digital voice commands would be a substitution for your students' voices, but for a student with no functional verbal communication skills, a voice command app would fall into the redefinition category. So let's take a look at our guide. We've compiled 10 different resources for you. Some are free and some have a cost to them. Keep this in mind that the cost may be prohibitive to some families, but it still does give you an idea of what's available and may give you some ideas to incorporate into your classroom. Each slide has a link to the website or app that we found, along with a description of its use, the ages it's geared towards, along with its SAMR designation. Again, keep in mind that SAMR will be fluid for your students with ASD, as each student will have varying needs. We've also included a mention of what kinds of skills these websites and apps will assist with. We've used the categories planning, self-awareness, time management, self-regulation, visuals, executive functioning, and communication. In Emily's video, she'll walk you through a couple of the apps and show you how to use them. In conclusion, I really hope you find these resources to be helpful, but also give you a jumping off point to discover what's available for your students that you'll be working with. A final note on ASD. If you've met one person with autism, remember that you have met one person with autism. Each is created in with their own unique set of gifts and challenges, and as a teacher, I hope that you can find joy in discovering just who your students were created to be.